Hi, I'm Weston. I love talking about the Astros, and man oh man am I excited to be back talking about the Houston Astros and recapping those games. Game 1 of the 162 game marathon that is the season, and we're back doing Astros recaps. First time since October, man, it's been forever, and I'm super excited. Great game to talk about. Astros over the A's 8-1. Dominant offensively for the Astros, dominant pitching, dominant everything. The Astros looked fantastic tonight, and this is a great game to get into. A little bit different than last year. Last year I just sort of looked at an overview of the game, but that was when I was doing it on one singular piece of paper for all my notes, and now I'm actually being able to read them off a screen, which is also why I look over here so much. But yeah, let's get into it. First inning, not much happens from the top of it. Altuve did swing at the very first pitch and ended up flying out to center. But that was encouraging to see Altuve attack it and be aggressive early. Altuve had a pretty nice night tonight. But in the bottom of the first major thing of note that I took a note for, Greinke and Matt Olson got into quite a little battle going on. 10 pitch at bat. Greinke gets him to strike out at the end. Greinke was magnificent tonight, and I'll talk about that more later on. In the second inning, Greinke had a nice little glove play, knocks the ball down, picks it off the ground, throws over to first. No problem. Greinke is a very good defensive player. You don't win 6 Gold Gloves by not being good defensively. In the third inning, Greinke actually has to work a bit, but he gets out of it. No real issues. It's scoreless still. But that was the first, I guess, foot traffic you would say he had all night. And that was really the only foot traffic he would have all night. In the fourth, this is when the Astros get their first run of the season. Altuve gets a walk, and then Brantley crushes one for what I thought was going to be a home run, but turned out to just be a double. So the Astros are getting to work, right? Then Bregman, he grounds out, but it's a very effective out because Jose Altuve, the man, the myth, the legend, gets the first run of the 2021 season, which is very cool. Astros go up 1-0, and then Chad Pinder, man, robs Kyle Tucker. Chad Pinder was a thorn in the Astros side tonight, but it's moments like that where you just kind of got to tip your cap and be like, that's just a heck of a play. And I want to know, I didn't look it up, but I'd like to know what the expected batting average on that is. There were a couple of balls tonight that I want to know the expected batting average on that one, and then the next inning. Because in the next inning, in the fifth, after having a very nice catch that you would say is a robbery in the fourth inning, Chad Pinder says, no, dog, I can one-up myself. Diving, full extension robbery on Jose Altuve, and that just kind of was a bummer. But man, Chad Pinder, he was fantastic defensively tonight, and I wanted to say that because, you know, I'm an Astros fan, but I'm still going to compliment the other team when I see fit. And that was just really nice. Sixth inning now. Bregman rips one for a double, so now we got a runner on second. Tucker gets gets a walk, Correa pops out, and then Yordan Alvarez, the rookie of the year, the man-child, the Cuban Missile Crisis himself, the man, the myth, the legend, I've already said that though, smashes one for what I thought was a 3-run home run, but instead is a 2-run double. Astros go up 3-0. I'm not going to complain about that. But man, in Minute Maid, that is a home run. But we're still up now 3-0. We start getting a nice little lead here. And I'm like, all right, this is what I like to see. Altuve's looking pretty good. Brantley's looking pretty good. Bregman's looking good. And Yordan just, I'll talk about Yordan in a minute because there's still a bit more to get to. In the sixth inning, it starts off not kind of dicey, that's later on. Bregman makes a really nice play to start a double play. Altuve finishes it off. We get the first 2 outs, and then Greinke just kind of sweet talks his way into staying in the game. Let's be honest, that's what that was. It was him, Altuve, I believe Maldonado, might have been Correa instead of Altuve, and Brett Strom have a little chitty chat on the pitcher's mound, and Greinke just sweet talks his way into staying. And very strange thing, Greinke was smiling, which I'm not sure I've seen that much, but he was happy, and this is a big thing, right? Even though we were only 5 innings into the season, even though it was the first game, I felt so much better about this year. I felt so much better about everything I saw. Bregman looked like himself. He looked confident, and he looked happy. Altuve was just all smiles. And man, after last year where Altuve just looked like he was constantly wanting to cry and just didn't want to be there, it broke my heart. I love Jose Altuve. I think every Astro fan loves Jose Altuve. I don't think you can be an Astro fan without loving him. And seeing him last year just look so sad constantly just sucked, and it ripped your heart out. But it was only a couple innings in, and Altuve already just looked so much happier. He looked so much brighter as a person, and that was just really, really nice to see. Sorry, I have something in my throat. But he just looked so much happier and so much more upbeat, and that was before he got his hit. But Altuve looked better. Greinke was actually smiling, which I never thought I'd see in a game. And even though we were just a couple innings in, it was looking good. And then he eventually got a pop-out to end the 6th inning. So that was it for Greinke, but 6 incredible scoreless innings. I'll talk about him in a minute. On to the 7th. He is relieved, like I just mentioned, and Enoli Paredes enters the game. Yuli drops the first ball, totally dropped the ball, figuratively and literally. So he allows that plate appearance to continue. He gets on base. There was another base runner. I think the next one was a walk, if I'm not mistaken. Eventually, Matt Chapman gets a sac fly, so it's 3-1, which would be their only run of the night. Then he makes quick work, strikes out Jed Lowry, and then strikes out Murphy to finish off the inning. So it looked a little dicey, but there was only one run. It was unearned, and man, Enoli Paredes, new year, right? Second year for him, but boy, is he still getting pumped up when he gets that strikeout to end the inning. Paredes is another guy that his excitement and his joy for the game is just contagious. Like, I don't know how you could not see him get all fired up after that second strikeout and not just put a big old smile on your face. God, I love the Astros and I love baseball, man. I'm so excited to be talking about this again. 8th inning. This is when it starts to get fun. Michael Brantley, Uncle Mike, leads it off. Home run! 3rd consecutive opening day start for Michael Brantley with a home run. He's done it every year as an Astro, and the last Astro to do that was George Spring. That's depressing. But Michael Brantley gets on the board, 4-1, puts us up on the lead, and then, next batter, Alex Bregman. Big Breggy bomb into left field. Absolute missile by Alex Bregman. He looked confident. He looked like himself again. And not like last year's Astros where we looked all neutered and sad. He gets on the board, 5-1. Correa gets a walk. Alvarez gets hit by a pitch, which, side note, the A's fans who were celebrating Alvarez getting hit by a pitch, really? He wasn't a member of that team. Like, here's the thing, right? You can say whatever you want, but just be accurate about it. Like, you can do that. It's fine. I'm fine with them getting upset. But just be correct. Alvarez wasn't there in 17. Anyway, Yuli gets walked. Bases are loaded. Straw strikes out looking, and Maldonado strikes out swinging, which kind of sucks. Then in the bottom of the 8th, Joe Smith, who we haven't seen in a while, the side armor himself, enters the game. First batter, Bregman makes a pretty bad throw barehanded trying to get the out, and so there's already a man on second. It was Chad Pinder, because of course it was. Strikes out the next batter. Altuve's throw on the next one is just a hair late, and now there's 2 on. He gets the next fly out, and then Dusty Baker says, nope, we're done. Bring in Blake Taylor, another player who I was very excited about last year and was happy to see him make his appearance tonight. He comes in, gets the strikeout, ends the inning on to the 9th. And in the 9th, the Astros get a few more runs. First things first, Jose Altuve gets on with a nice base hit. Altuve had a very nice night tonight. Then Brantley gets a walk. Bregman gets a walk, which, nice, bases are loaded. Kyle Tucker with a nice sac fly to get Altuve home. 6-1. Carlos Correa pops out, shatters his bat in the process, and then we find out that he didn't pop out. Shatters his bat, looked like it was going to be a pop-out, is what I should have said. Gets down, and then, that's great. Bases are now loaded. That's all good and well. Then Yordan, man, the first pitch for Yordan, right, gets away. Brantley scores 7-1. And then Yordan just absolutely crushes it. Dead center. And at this point, my hands are up. I'm standing up. I'm like, yeah, it's gone. He freaking demolished it. And it's a sac fly. Minute Maid, that's a home run. That is jacked. But because we're not in Minute Maid, because we're in stupid old Oakland with those stupid drums, it's 8-1. And it should be more than that because, man, Alvarez, he looked good. Yuli grounds out to end the top half. We go into the bottom. And Stanek comes in. I'm probably butchering that, but I'm going to call him Stanek. Comes in. Great first batter. Strikes out Chapman. Walks Lowry. Hits Murphy. Now we're getting into some dicey territory. There are 2 runners on. And then strikes out Pinder to end the game. And that's it. Astros win their first game of the year. I'm pumped up. Time to get into the pitching lines. Greinke went 6 innings with 3 hits, 4 strikeouts, no walks, no runs. My goodness gracious, was Zach Greinke fantastic tonight. I believe he was perfect through the first 3 innings, and he just kept on rolling. Or not the first 3, but he was perfect through the first 2. And Zach Greinke just looked phenomenal tonight. I have no complaints whatsoever about this performance. Now, obviously, this isn't going to be every single game, but man, this gives me a lot of promise for the season of Zach Greinke. Noli Paredes came in after him, 1 inning pitched, 1 hit, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, 1 run, but it was unearned. He looked pretty solid. Noli Paredes, strangely enough, almost seems like he gets better the more runners there are on base. So, like, the more the pressure is the word I'm looking for. Again, I would like to see not that, but again, the only run he gave up was on the Yuli mistake, which should have been an out. So I'm not going to complain too much about Noli Paredes. I thought he looked pretty good. His stuff didn't seem to lose any of what he had last season, which is promising. And if he can just dial down those walks, he could be an elite relief pitcher in this league. Joe Smith, 2/3 of an inning, 2 hits, 1 strikeout, no walks, no runs. He hasn't pitched in over a year, so I'm not going to be too critical of him. A little bit of traffic, but nothing too bad. He still seemed to have his stuff pretty intact. Blake Taylor, barely worth mentioning, 1/3 of an inning, no hits, no walks, 1 strikeout. And then Ryan Stanek, which I'm probably butchering, 1 inning pitched, no hits, 2 strikeouts, 1 walk, 1 hit by pitch. I am clearly rusty. And again, he looked pretty good. I thought his stuff looked really good. He had a couple of really nice pitches, especially on that first batter of the season. So I have hope for him this season. I think he can become, pretty good. Again, this is just the first game, so I'm not going to be too critical. The RBIs tonight were Brantley had 1, Bregman had 2, Kyle Tucker had 1. The one was on a wild pitch, and then 3 for Yordan Alvarez. Now, all that said, final thoughts for the night, right? Zach Greinke looked fantastic from start to finish. He looked in control from the moment he stepped in the game and the moment he stepped out. He was fantastic tonight. I have no complaints on Zach Greinke. I am ecstatic to see this season for Zach Greinke. I have some high hopes going into it. The next one, the big one, Altuve and Bregman, who both were, and I love them both. So I'm that's important. I'm not just being critical of them to be critical. I love them. They were pretty terrible last year. Altuve was actually just terrible last year during the regular season. Bregman was fine. He was okay. Like, he wasn't unbelievable. He wasn't terrible. He was just sort of there. But tonight, and I know what you're saying, Weston, it's only one night. Well, I got news. That's the only thing I can go off of this tonight, because that's all we've played so far this year. But Altuve looked happy. He looked like himself. And that was great to see, because he didn't really look like that last year. Even in the postseason, when he was crushing the ball, he still wasn't that happy. He didn't seem like himself. He still seemed rather sad and kind of mopey. This season, one game, he looks so much better. He looks so much happier to be there, and that is fantastic for the heart and soul of the Astros team. He only had one hit, but he did have a walk. He had a pair of runs, and again, he got robbed on that hit. That should have been a base hit. And Bregman tonight, he looked really, really good. He had 2 hits, 2 RBIs. He had a home run. He had a walk. He looked very, very good, and that is great to see. He had his swagger back, which is very exciting, because if Altuve has his happiness back and Bregman has his swagger, this could be fun. Michael Brantley, man. The guy is a metronome. Is he the best on-base guy in baseball? Certainly not. He's going to hover around 350 to 360. But, man, he might be the best pure hitter. If you're not looking at anything else, if you're just looking at contact, if you're not looking at slugging, if you're not looking at on-base, Michael Brantley might very well be the best hitter in baseball by a purely hitting standpoint. He is fantastic. 3 hits tonight, 2 runs, a home run, a walk. 3 for 4 with a walk is just it's absurd how good Michael Brantley is. And, I'm like, going into this, I'm like, he's going to regress this season. He looked incredible tonight. And Yordan Alvarez, Yordan Alvarez is hilariously good at baseball. Right? So, 2019, Comes in, wins Rookie of the Year unanimously, blows up baseball, destroys Major League pitching on the way. And we're like, that's all cool. That's great. Comes into 2020. First plate appearance, home run. And we're just like, wow, he still is very, very good at this whole baseball thing. Tonight, no home run, but a massive double that in Minute Maid is probably a home run, and a big sac fly that, again, in Minute Maid is a home run. It is. 3 RBIs tonight. And I mean, Yordan Alvarez is just, he's comically good at the game. And I am so happy that we have this man on our roster. So, that's it for the first recap of the season. I'm super excited to be doing this again. Tomorrow night we have Christian Javier on the mound. It starts at 9:37 Eastern time, which for me is very late. And I'm wrapping this up at about 2 a.m., which is cool. But it doesn't matter. Baseball's back. I'm super excited. So thank you all so very much for watching. I hope you all have an absolutely fantastic day. And go Astros.